in college, I also had a guy who's the director of student life who really, still to this day, is a mentor for me, a guy named Carl Johnson. And he taught me so much, but one of the things he taught me is that every decision we make is based on love or fear. And if you make decisions based on love, you usually make the right decision. You can put your head on your pillow and be okay. And when you make decisions based on fear, they can be irrational, they can be, scared, all these different things. And that's still an ethos that I apply to almost every decision I make is it love or is it fear?
This episode made possible by Restaurant Systems Pro. With excitement, allow me to introduce to you today's guest, co-owner of Strategic Hospitality, Max Goldberg. My man, Max, are you feeling unstoppable today?
Man, good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm stoked to be here, man. I was with your brother in 2021, episode 846, Ben Goldberg. Man, what a great conversation. He was so open, so honest, so vulnerable, had amazing things to say about you. I know today is going to be a great conversation, no pressure. But before we dive into who you are and where you are today and how you got here, let's get that motivational, inspirational ball rolling with a success quote or mantra. What do you got for us?
Well, first of all, I'm glad you got to talk to my brother first because he is the older, taller, better looking version of me. So you started on, well, thank you. That was a selfish plug there, but no, he's the best. I'm glad you got to connect with Benjamin. Something that I think about in our industry a lot, and I stole it from Maya Angelou, and I've kind of riffed on it a little bit, but I think she's so right when she said people may not remember what you said or what you did, but how you made them feel.
Absolutely.
And for me, so much of what we do, especially in hospitality, is how you make people feel. And I think there's been a lot of restaurants I've gone to or experiences I've had in and outside of our industry where something might be world class or something could be great, but if you don't feel great in the space and you're not creating that space to create memories, it's pretty forgettable. And so we focus so much on how you feel in spaces. And I love food and drink, but I also think it can be a vehicle for conversation. And if you don't create the spaces and the canvases for people to really paint their lives on, what are we doing? And so I think you have to feel great in the space. And so for me, that really is an ethos that I share with the team and something I think about on a daily basis.
I'm going to pull back layers out of the gate, man. Typically, Whoa. I wait, I bookmark these things, we come back to them. But how do you use space? How do you train people to make other people feel good?
Yeah, I think that you have to trust and empower those to really have their personalities come out. And I think we're pretty intentional with our hiring that we really at our core just want really good people. I know it's been talked about before, but there's such a difference between service and hospitality. And we can train service and we can give guidelines for hospitality, but we really want to hire great people and work with great people. And I think that it has to start at your cultural level at the very top of creating spaces people want to be in, starting with the employee first and the people that we get to work with. We always say nobody works for us, but everyone works with us. And so I think to have those spaces where the staff can really feel empowered to go and create these dream weaving moments or have these special occasion things happen on a daily basis is my favorite thing to read about in the nightly email or see firsthand. But I think you have to really trust and empower the people you work with and give them experience share and work with them and be in the trenches, because obviously what we do is a full contact sport, but really empower them to feel like they can go out and make change in people's lives.
Yeah. What about physical space? You said not just the people, but the physical space. How do you use the space to make people feel a certain way?
One of the things that I hope people feel when they come into anything we do, whether it's something at the airport or a chef's tasting restaurant or things we do in stadiums, is that they go in and they understand that there's just a little bit more thoughtfulness that goes into the design, the detail, the warmth. I would say that we really try to create spaces that have that warmth. We're really intentional about how we have different seating arrangements, different kind of decor elements, different things, but really we just want people to feel really comfortable and welcoming in our spaces. Whether they're in a tuxedo or a t-shirt, we want everyone to feel great.
Yeah, that's not easy to do.
No.
No. And I just want to point something out. I don't know if you had anything to do with hiring Alex downstairs. He was living everything you just said. I showed up.
Awesome.
I parked across the street. I was frantic. I was like, am I allowed to park there? I'm afraid. I don't know where to park. And he brought me upstairs. He let me offload my stuff. And then I was asking him questions like, where should I park? And I was like, what if I park out of town? Can I ride my bike in so I don't have to walk, a half mile? And he's like, here's what you're going to do. And he walked me to the back gate, the loading dock. He said, this is the security person. If you ring this doorbell, she'll open it. You can put your bike in back here. And it was like the Lowe's experience, right? Like, you don't just tell them what aisle it's on. You walk them to it and you show them exactly what to do. And he insisted on doing these things, you know? And I feel like that is just like a shining example of what you just described. Is it not?
I mean, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, and I'd love to take all the credit for it. It's really the team that's operating here on a daily basis, our incredible ops team and managers and our chief operating officer and everyone else that have really instilled those things. But that's super great to hear. And yeah, that's exactly what we strive for, is to take that extra moment where it's not just a transaction, but it's this connection. And that was a very low lift for someone to take the time to make sure that you new to this building has a good experience, and that's great to hear. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course. I want to be clear. I was being a pain in the ass, and he did not make me feel like I was being a pain in the ass, and that is a testament to hospitality.
I doubt you were a pain in the ass, but that is awesome to hear, man. I appreciate that.
So thank you for out of the gates getting into all that detail. We're off to a good start. I knew it was going to be good. Before we kind of go back to share your story, where are you today? And before you share that, let me tell you where you were in 2021. So in 2021, you had Paradise Park Resort, the Patterson House, Merchant's Restaurant. I've noticed that the Paradise Park Resort is no longer, the Merchant is no longer, the Catbird Seat, Pinewood no longer, Bandbox, Sebastian, or is it just Bastion?
Bastion.
Henrietta Red, sorry, I'll say that again. Henrietta Red, Downtown Sport Club, no longer around?
So we're in the building where Paradise Park and the sporting club was, and there's a long, awesome story to that.
Locust.
Yep.
And then you also did special events, and you do consulting and managing services.
We do.
What has happened since 2021? Where are we today?
We've just kind of been kicking it, not doing much. No, we had some of the hardest and best years of my personal and professional career. The building we're sitting in right now, we're recording. We are in Trisha's kitchen. Trisha Yearwood, who is someone who's become one of my favorite people in the world, who she and her husband, Garth Brooks, who's an iconic...
I think I've heard the name.
Yeah, he's as great as he is as an icon in country music. He's also just one of the greatest human beings I've ever met. And we were really lucky to get to know them personally and then professionally, looking at some things, and kind of landed on, Friends in Low Places is the biggest song that's ever been written. We need something like that on Lower Broadway, which is where we're sitting right now, which to me is the heartbeat of Nashville, especially in downtown. And Friends is so much more than just a bar and honky tonk. It's a place where everyone is welcome. We try to be the cleanest, safest, most fun honky tonk on Lower Broadway. And so we're sitting in that building, and the whole process and that journey could be a separate podcast of how it all came together. And we had so much fun actually documenting on a TV show we filmed on Amazon Prime with Garth and Trisha, which was an absolute blast. And we had 6 episodes kind of showing that process.
Oh, cool.
If you ever have 6 hours of your life and you want to,
I should definitely check that out. I have an incentive absolutely now. Now you got. I didn't know that was out there. I'm absolutely going to watch it.
It was a blast to do. But what was really special for me outside of all of that is that my career in hospitality, after I left New York and came back to Nashville to partner up with my brother in 2007. Couldn't afford a car, so I walked to work every day. I don't remember being this bad, but my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, and we broke up for 10 years, so a whole story there, but now back together, married with a beautiful little baby boy.
Glad to hear that.
She would remind me I'd leave at 9 a.m. and come home at 4 a.m. And I did that for a couple of years, and it was just brutal, but it was all in this building. And so to start my career in this building and then create a new concept and almost go bankrupt during COVID, which was, just so much scar tissue left there. But I think how we navigated is how we got to where we are now in terms of strength and confidence and where we're heading. But we ended up selling this building and doing really well in the sale for ourselves and our investors. And we're really given the gift to partner with Garth and Trish to help them execute a shared vision that we operate today. So they own 100% of everything they do. They're brilliant with that. But we get to work with them to help them execute and create the space and run it on a day-to-day basis. So
this is a management deal.
Yeah.
And I want to, when we get to like where we are today, I think we should go deeper into this, because I think that is something that I don't think we talk enough about on the show is like there's more to just owning businesses in this industry. Like you can be a managing partner, or you can do a what's the word I'm looking for? When you just like lease out your intellectual property, right? The terms escaping me. Maybe it'll come back to my mind later. Or franchising or finite. There's just so many different things you can do with your skill set, but managing other people's properties and how to organize that, or advice on how to do that, is something I'm really interested in. And then, so in terms of where you are today, I also mentioned Merchants Restaurant is no longer.
Yeah.
Was there a fire there?
So
Jordan was very informative during our pre-interview chat.
Jordan's the best,
Yeah.
and feel very lucky that Jordan is celebrating, I think, her 13th year with us. The fact she's still here is a huge gift to us and our company. And she's 100% right. We did have a fire there.
Okay. So is there anything in that place, in the place of merchant restaurants, or?
So what happened is, I remember it very vividly because my son was 3 weeks old.
Okay.
And I was at home, and very rare occurrence, but at 3 a.m. I was giving him a bottle, which my wife did everything. I'll take no credit for that. when she listens to this, she did everything. But at 3 a.m. my phone rang, and it was the general manager of the business, and that's never a phone call you want to get.
No. This is 2022?
I have to go back and look at the date. I think it was 2024. Is that right? 2023.
Thank you, Jordan.
And yeah, I guess I could just count backwards from my son being 2. That's how smart I am. But got the phone call, and it was Merchants was on fire. And so, gave my son to my wife and raced downtown and got down here. And sure enough, Merchants was on fire. What happened is that we had some hoods that hadn't been cleaned that we were told had been cleaned by the company that was cleaning them, and had a structural fire go through the building, and it was devastating.
Yeah.
And didn't really know what was going to happen, but luckily we had great insurance and great guidance. We were able to bring it back to a warm shell.
We can get into the details. I kind of just want to paint the picture real quick of like what has changed, and then as
we sold it.
So you sold it. Yeah. Okay. Sold the building, and then Pinewood. And just real quick,
we sold that as well.
Sold it as well. And then Downtown Sports Club.
Sold that as well.
Sold that. But I also saw 3 new venues. Yeah. So you lost 3, you picked up 3.
We did. We opened up, we've opened up a few more than that. We opened up a few places at the airport. We've got the Titans Press Box, which is a really fun partnership we have with the football team. We did a franchise deal with Voodoo Donut out of Portland, Oregon, which is unbelievable donut. We have the Music City Shop, which is our retail shop there. And then we created a brand called Kitty Hawk as well. So we have about 9,200 square feet of awesome airport space. And right when you clear security on the right-hand side, which we really think is kind of the crown jewel of the airport where all the international flights are going out of, we were fortunate to curate some really fun spaces there, and they are cranking. So that's been great.
Is Chris Schultz still with them? CEO of Voodoo?
Was he from Mod Pizza?
Yes.
Yeah, he's still the CEO. He's great.
Yeah, he was great. Past guest on the show.
Yeah,
talked about how to scale culture. It was a really great episode.
He's awesome.
So great. Okay, so you're doing Voodoo Donuts, Titans Sports Shop?
The Titans Press Box.
Titans Press. Where the hell did I get Sports Shop from? Press Box, and then Kitty Hawk.
Yes.
All at the airport.
Yep.
And are those management deal? Is the Voodoo, is that a management structure?
No, we build them out. We did the deal, and we run them with a company out of Denver.
Is that a franchise?
So it is a franchise, but we take all their systems and processes and we execute it. So it's our staff implementing their product.
So you're not a franchisee?
We are a franchisee.
Okay, got it. Awesome. So anything else I should know about since 2021, the past 4 years?
I mean, I have to go back and look at dates, but we opened up with Kisser, I guess was during that time, our Japanese barbecue spot. I think Locust opened shortly thereafter that, which is our spot in 12 South in a building that we bought and opened up with our second chef from Catbird named Trevor Moran, who one of the most talented chefs we've ever met. And both Locust and Kisser, and this is 100% testament to the chef's team, were named as some of the best new restaurants in America.
Wow.
Which is phenomenal. And just kind of been cranking on that. You
guys got a lot going on.
we're really fortunate. We've got, I guess, 6 things kind of in the pipeline, and I can talk about 2 of them as I look over at Jordan before she kicks me under the table.
Thumbs up, Jordan.
But we have a second location at Kisser called Baby Chan, which is going to be a Japanese bakery opening in the Neuhof development in Germantown, which we're super excited about.
Nice.
And then we're moving the catbird seat and the Patterson House, which had both been in the existing spaces for 15 years, to the rooftop of the Voorhees building, which is right across from the best restaurant in Nashville called Arnold's Meat and Three. And
Okay.
So we're going right across from there on the rooftop in that building.
Lots going on. I can't wait to pull back. I mean, we're like almost 20 minutes into this conversation. We just painted the picture of all the things you guys got going on, you know, and it's really impressive what you guys have done here in Nashville. I can't wait to start pulling back the layers. So, I mean, let's just bring it back to where it makes sense for you. 2007,
Yeah.
you join your brother, you create Strategic Hospitality, or Strategic Hospitality going by 2006, I think maybe.
So my brother was the founder, and he really gets all credit for starting this process. And he was an inflection point in 2006 that he saw the momentum of Nashville. So keep in mind that he was so clever to think that Nashville has this kind of booming tidal wave that's building. And 2006, he thought, I can either partner with someone who's kind of a veteran in the industry or someone that I trust completely. And so we started having conversations in 2006 about me leaving New York City where I was working and coming back to Nashville and partnering up to try to grow this little restaurant thing that was kind of happening in Nashville. And I had no desire to leave New York, but I thought the opportunity to create jobs in a city I grew up in and partner with my brother and try something. And if it didn't work out, I could always go back to New York. And so we decided that we wanted to partner up, and both our mom and dad were very opposed to it. You know, they wanted to make sure the brother relationship was preserved more than anything. And our dad actually flew to New York. And
I met your dad. He was with Ben when I recorded him last.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
he's
he's
a
a
good
guy.
man. He's still around. He's cranking. Doing great. But he flew to New York, sat down, and I felt terrible for the restaurant. But on their white tablecloth, pulled out a Sharpie and started writing all the things that could go wrong and why we shouldn't do this. And thankfully, I didn't listen to him. And I think he respected that, but he just wanted to point it out as a dad. And we gave it a chance and signed our deal. And we partnered up on August 1st of 2007.
That's crazy. And, you know, this came up with Ben. And if you want to hear the story of what happened prior to 2007 when Max came out here, Ben kind of got into the details. Really inspiring. 23 years old, still wet behind the ears out of college, you know, and just like naively just went for it. But I think there's something to be said about that naivety or that naivete. What's the right way you're supposed to say that? But there's something like what is the expression? Like, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Like, if you knew what it was going to take, if you knew what you were signing up for, you'd probably not do it. And he just went for it. And 23 years old, had success. If you want to listen to that again, it was episode 846. If you want to check out that episode before continuing with this, but oh my gosh, my brain's all over the place. What were you just saying before I kind of told his backstory?
That we partnered up in August 1st of
Family.
2007.
Right. Okay. I remember now. So we talked about this. What are your thoughts on going into business with family? You know that what people say.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It can go really bad. It can also go really well. And we're fortunate that we went into it pretty intentional to say that we're brothers before anything else. And I don't know if this is a horrible thing to say, but I think you need to get divorced when you're in love. And so we made a plan when we partnered up to make sure that if things did go wonky, that there was a clear exit for both sides. And we implemented a Texas shootout, which is essentially if one brother wants out, they would say they want out and then make a proposal to buy the other brother out. And then that brother could accept it or buy the other brother out for that same amount. So it keeps everyone honest to make sure that there could be a clear exit.
Were there lawyers involved with this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So partnership agreement between brothers.
Yeah. And I'm very proud to say that's a document that collected dust and hopefully will continue to collect dust. And it's been an amazing journey together over the past 18 years, which is crazy to say out loud. But it's been, it's something that it probably took us 10 years to really figure out how to work together as effectively as we could. We always loved and trusted each other, and we've always, been best friends. But when you spend 12 hours a day together working, things can go tough and wonky and tricky. And it just took us some time to figure out how to work together the best way we could. And I think those 10 years of figuring it out really built the foundation for where we are today.
For sure. So 2007 was basically around the time you guys started to like really figure out the formula.
Yeah.
I'm making a note there because I want to come back to that.
Yeah.
And real quick, what were you doing before coming out to Nashville? What up, unstoppable restaurant owners and operators? We have to interrupt today's video to let you know that Restaurant Unstoppable and Restaurant Systems Pro, we're taking our relationship to the next level. Beginning in July of 2024, Fred Langley, CEO of Restaurant Systems Pro, is making himself available once a week in Restaurant Unstoppable Network to answer all of your restaurant systems questions, whether it's be profit margins. He will look at your P&L. Bring your P&L. He will take a look at that. He will dissect it. He will help you find your profit, whether that be through budgeting, inventory management, costing and recipe cards, labor, checklists, you name it. He is a master of restaurant systems, and he's making himself available to you. Fred Langley and Restaurant Systems Pro started as a consulting firm, and for over 16 years, they've been helping their clients increase their profit by 10% or more. What are you waiting for? Click the link below to join our Facebook group, Restaurant Unstoppable Network.
So I went to school out in Colorado at Denver University and had a great time in college there, and had a party promotions business in college. I was the social chair of my fraternity. I went out there to try to play lacrosse, but got hurt and didn't get the opportunity to play there. But had a very successful private event party business. Had a TV show in college. I had a golf cart and assistant. It was awesome. And then got elected student body president. And the only reason I bring that up is that I think I was a liability for the school, so I had to meet with the chancellor once a month, basically, to kind of check in. And that chancellor made an introduction that helped get me my first job in New York City.
Okay.
And so after college, went to New York City, and I was working at the Dylan Schneider Group and then at Ruderfin, and had nothing to do with hospitality, but just loved kind of getting people together. And so my cousin Jesse and I would host a DJ night at this place called St. Jerome's on the Lower East Side once a week, which is one of my favorite nights of the week. And our only claim to fame there is I think Lady Gaga was like the opener at one point, back in the day. And so it was kind of fun to think about just how worlds can collide. But that was really my only connection to hospitality, and loved New York, loved what was happening there. But, if I was doing the mirror test and kind of thinking about how am I really developing and evolving, New York was phenomenal, but I just think that the opportunity to come back and create jobs in a city I grew up in was such a driver for me.
Right.
And so in 2007, after 6, 7, 8 months of discussion, took every penny I had saved in New York and bought half the company from Benjamin, and we partnered up and off we went.
So this was the dean or the who got you the job in New York?
So the chancellor of the university. And then in college I also had a guy who's the director of student life, who really still to this day is a mentor for me, a guy named Carl Johnson. And he taught me so much, but one of the things he taught me is that every decision we make is based on love or fear. And if you make decisions based on love, you usually make the right decision. You can put your head on your pillow and be okay. And when you make decisions based on fear, they can be irrational, they can be scared, all these different things. And that's still an ethos that I apply to almost every decision I make is it love or is it fear?
It reminds me, have you ever heard the analogy, there's two wolves inside you, you got to feed the good wolf?
No, but I love that.
Yeah, it's like, there's like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into it. It's essentially exactly what you said, but it reminded me of that. And so did he ever say what he saw in you? Where like he was, so it's probably safe to say he feared you at one, and he probably saw like what, the potential in you that there was. So like he needs to like give you a path of like you can go two ways, dude, like, and let me put you on a path to like, based off of what I can tell from you, like you will thrive in this vertical. But did more come out from this engagement?
I think the fear probably came in the day after I was elected student body president. I went to Columbus, Ohio for the Frozen Four hockey tournament and somehow ended up shirtless on the cover of the Columbus Dispatch, waving my shirt around. And so I'm sure that wasn't a great look. But I think that they just kind of gave me a chance. And I'm not sure if they saw anything in me or more just this guy's in a leadership role. We want to make sure that he has an opportunity to be successful. And to this guy's credit, he really helped shape and mold me at a really formidable time in my life. And he's still someone I am so close with today. But yeah, it was something that he definitely changed my trajectory. Like if you think of those inflection points of life, of like those moments, meeting Carl Johnson was one of those moments for me.
Yeah. I like to say Restaurant Unstoppable's mission is to inspire, empower, and transform the industry. And I know that he wasn't in the restaurant industry, but we have the ability to touch lives like he touched your life in so many ways in the restaurant industry. people in college, like most of the people we employ are like that age, right? And we have so much influence at that point in people's lives. And if you see something in somebody, like let them know, put them on a path, enforce the good, right? Like this gentleman did for you. I think that's just so powerful. You can literally change someone's life. Maybe he changed your life.
He definitely did. And I had something really cool happen to me after kind of a sad situation, but going back to Paradise Park, which is the first thing Benjamin and I did together, we had a guy who worked here, Big Al, the people's pal. And he was the guy who sat at the front door, who was our bouncer. And, you know, he was a strong, larger gentleman who sat at the door and really became almost like, I don't want to say mascot because I feel like that sounds condescending, but like the face of the business. And everyone loved Big Al. And after we sold the business, Big Al retired, and you know, I'd see him from time to time, and he'd stop by, but really didn't get to see him enough, and we'd text. And Big Al unfortunately passed away a couple weeks ago, and the only light that came out of that is that a lot of the original staff that I saw on a daily basis for 10 years of my life, they all came back from different parts of the world, and we got to catch up at the funeral. And I said, we really should get everybody back together in this building we're sitting in right now. And so we organized this really fun day to get the staff together and see what this building had become. We had like 30 people show up, and I got to talk to these individuals. And one of the most humbling things that happened is, they'd come up and say, I know we all did well together, but we all were using this time as a stepping stone in what we wanted to do, whether it was to become a portfolio manager. One is in real estate now, one is an accountant that we actually work with still to this day. And they said, we were able to get our CPA, our real estate license, to go back to school, get our graduate degree, these different things. And we graduated with no debt because of our time we spent here. And there was this really special space we all got to be a part of. And, it was fun. It was a business. I don't drink or treat anything as, a lifestyle. This is a business, but at the same time, you care deeply about the people you work with, and to hear them say that their time here was a really positive one. They're all still super close, and they were able to use their time here to facilitate the next step in their life. Man, it just brought me to tears. It was incredible.
That's the power we have. I do believe that there is an industry that's going to change the world. And this is the end of my mission statement: to inspire, empower, and transform the industry so we can change the world. And if we can let people know across the country, across the world, that you are in a position to change people's lives in your community, and if we all know that, we all strive to do it. Like, you telling me we're not going to make the world a better place, man? It's so possible. So what were you doing exactly? You were working for, you mentioned it, the Dylan Schneider Group?
And Reuter Finn. I guess my technical title was Corporate Communications and Financial Management Consulting.
Say that one more time.
I'm not really sure what it means either. I was working
corporate communication director
and corporate communications and financial management consulting.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you go to school for?
I got a business BSBA in business management and psychology.
Okay. Well, hey, I think honestly, like, the psychology thing can go so far. Like,
yeah.
Understanding how people, like, business is all about relationships.
Yeah.
And when you know how people tick and what's going on internally, like, I think it's such a foot up.
Well, I went to Denver University, which is the second highest rated hospitality school in the country behind Cornell. And I took one hospitality class, which was a wine class, and it was the only C I got in college. And so you want to talk about imposter syndrome. And my scenario, I'm not a chef. I'm not a bartender. I'm just so humbled and lucky to play in the hospitality space.
So how long were you in New York full time?
3 years.
3 years. What was the biggest impact that experience had on you to set you up for success in this industry?
It's going to be a cheesy answer, but I met my wife there, and she's the best decision I've ever made.
How did she set you up for, the rest? Like, what influence has she had on you? But this is a loaded question.
Oh, man. I'm going to need
as I'm asking, I'm like, whoa, sorry, man. That's a loaded one.
You want to go back to the very beginning. She took the picture of my brother and I signing our contract together.
Okay.
She loved me when I was 30 pounds lighter, way too skinny, with a negative bank balance and couldn't afford a car and walk to work every day. And she loved me then the same way she loves me now, with a little bit of success and, a car to drive. And back then, and still to this day, she gives me the confidence to go out and be great and take care of others. And she just provides the foundation for our family and our son. And, she's a huge inspiration for me. She was then and she is now. And that was with a 10-year break, by the way. We broke up for 10 years, which is insane. But yeah, it's incredible.
That's powerful. I'm trying to send my girlfriend a postcard from every city I go to, and I'm going to have to steal that line for the next postcard.
100%, man. Just edit this out and take credit for it. Totally fine.
No, man, that's powerful, man, and that means so much. So when Ben said he was like nagging you constantly, like he knew he wanted you, and he had to like convince you to leave New York. What was it that he said to you that was like the thing that got you to move to Nashville out of New York City, where you're having the time of your life?
My brother is a very sweet guy. He was not nagging me. We were having conversations, and he had the foresight and vision to see something I didn't. And the only reason I'm sitting here today is because of my brother. And so give him all credit in the world for that. I think that after just a few months of conversations and the opportunity to say, like, screw it, let's just do it and try it and see what happens, and really making sure that we'd preserve the relationship as brothers gave us the confidence to just jump in and try it. And so I don't know if there was like this moment where something he said or convinced me. It was more just a feeling of let's see what we can do for the city of Nashville. And I think over the past 18 years, and all credit goes to the people we work with and the people we've partnered with, we've had so much fun putting our signature on the city and being a good steward of the community and trying to lift everyone up. And the fact that we got to do it in Nashville, which I think is the most exciting market in the world, has been incredible.
Yeah. So when I was speaking to him, I was asking him, like, what was it about your brother? And he just said that you have like this gift there's nobody who's better with people, who's more generous and warm. And like, did he ever like tell you why you, like, was he selling you on yourself and why you needed to be a part of it?
He's a kind, wonderful dude. I mean, I don't know if there was a salesmanship piece of like why we should do it. He's the older brother, and I've always looked up to him and really, been inspired by so much of what he's done. And he started in this industry when he was 23, and we partnered up when I was 23. And so we really just kind of saw this light in each other, and we went for it. And we've definitely had highs and lows, which is not uncommon.
What lanes are you guys in? Are you similar people, or are you complete opposites?
I think at our core, we share the same moral compass. I think in terms of what we offer to the company, my brother is exponentially more talented than I am. He's the best operator I've ever met. He is the best person of getting things done. We've implemented this EOS training, which I'd recommend for everybody.
Oh my God, you're making me so happy. Whenever I have a guest on the show and they reinforce one of my biggest lessons, and sorry, I can't.
No, I share the same smile myself. That you do.
Yeah,
and EOS has been great for us. And so he really is the one that is the integrator, making things happen on a daily basis. And I get the fun and the visionary role of trying to create a new wake of deal flow and, try to structure fun things. But my brother is the glue that keeps the company together, the operations genius. And I just am lucky to try to put some fun things together to grow our company.
Okay. So, if we're talking EOS, what are you? If he's the integrator, he's the rocket fuel, right? Yeah. Like what roles do you have? When you came, like what was your lane?
When we first started, where we are now.
When you first started,
I don't think we were clever enough to understand what EOS was. We both were just grinders. Running shifts in the restaurants. Technically, I probably was the GM of our first restaurant.
So, if we're using, have you read the book, The E-Myth? Are you familiar with The E-Myth?
No, I need to check it out.
So in that book, Michael Goldberg talks about you're either an entrepreneur, you're either a technician, you're either a manager. One of those three people, likely. So it sounds like your brother was the entrepreneur. And maybe he had some technician skills because he's good at like in the dirt building things, right? Yep. Practical operations. Do you have strong management skills?
I think I can do whatever needs to get done. I think understanding over the past 18 years where my blind spots are and where I can offer the highest and best use of time and value has evolved and changed. I think when we first started, I was 23 years old and I was trying to just learn this industry, and we had one restaurant that we were scraping to get by, and we built a good business, but it was just early days of opening the business, taking a nap under the desk when we could and keep cranking. It was just survival at that point. And 18 years later, we're really lucky that we have an incredible team around us, our EOS and our leadership team, and unbelievable managers that we've really come up with in the restaurants, and general managers and culinary ops people and directors of operations that we really can empower to be successful. But today where we are is my brother really makes sure that everything is operated at the world-class level that we try to strive for every day. And I try to create, what the future can look like for the company.
Okay. So you're like creative, visionary, and he's like execution?
He has the ability, and he is a visionary role. But when we went through the US training, I can't be the implementer the way that he is. He could be a visionary the way that I am. And so I think that for me, leaning into the visionary role has been like a rocket ship for us. I mean, we've created a tremendous amount of deal flow because I've just been let loose to go out and create new things. But yeah, he's the one who is executing. I'm the one trying to grow the company.
Okay. I'm going to come back to this. I want to unpackage EOS more.
Yeah.
I want to get more into how that's steering you. So Ben, integrator, and you are visionary as today.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So along this lane of like evolution, and I do want to point out what he said about you. And I'm kind of seeing it between the lines in your story up to this point. Like, it seems like you have incredibly strong emotional and social skills, right? And I think as a leader, as a manager, it's really about managing people. The best thing in this industry, the worst thing about this industry is managing people, right? It's such a challenge. But if you're good at like demanding respect and you're just a natural leader, which it sounds like you were with the roles you've had in the past, like, I think that's what your brother saw in you. Like, you can demand respect and people will follow you. And I think that is you absolutely, like, it sounds like you're a natural born leader. Am I safe to say that?
I'm wildly uncomfortable saying that.
Okay, well, that just enforces my, because most natural born leaders are very humble. You know, so I feel like that's kind of what I'm reading between the lines. And okay, let's talk about the evolution. So from 2007, you have 2 bars. You have Paradise. Go ahead.
We had Paradise Park was the first thing that we did together. My brother had Bar 23 in City Hall.
Got it.
As well. And so we did Paradise Park together, and then the leases termed out for City Hall and Bar 23. So we really focused on growth. And we opened up a private event space in this building, which is on the rooftop of where we're sitting right now. And then we opened the first kind of fun membership club in Nashville called The Spot, which was in this building as well. And then really didn't know where things were going to grow from there. And we kind of just started very selfishly trying to open places where we'd want to go, what we saw out in the world, and would try to bring back to Nashville. And, you know, I love the Picasso quote that good art is borrowed, great art is stolen. Mm-hmm. We would see all these different things and say, what would be a good value add to the city that we care so deeply about, and try to do those things in Nashville.
So you're looking at what was out there, what was catching traction in different markets, and saying, what can we bring from outside, and how can we fill holes here in our market? Like, what do we know will work where we are? And like, let's get that inspiration.
Maybe not even what would work. I don't know if we were that clever. I think it was more like,
what do we want?
What do we want? And what do we think would be fun? And like, we're not trendy. We're not cool. I mean, you can look at me like we're not a cool
Well,
group.
I will say this, though. Like, you and your brother in 2007, your brother was 27. You were 24. You were the target market.
Yeah.
What you want, young, you know, like people who like to go out and have contact. Like, I think when you are younger, it's easier to build something that you want because you are the target market. When you start getting older, when you're in your 40s and 50s, and you start trying to build what you want in a downtown area with a bunch of people going out and partying, it might not hit the same way, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of your evolution, in the early years, you know, like the first couple of years, like no hospitality experience, like what were your biggest struggles?
Oh, man. Yes. I mean, all of it. I mean, it was just kind of building the cars we were driving it in certain regards. And I spent the first couple of years just learning the industry. I mean, I worked every position we had to try to understand it. And it was a very humbling task to come in as an owner with no experience and have the staff really train me. And I think you just had to go in and try to be the hardest worker in the room and go in with humility and vulnerability and understand that I'm not going to know the answer, but I'll figure out a way to get to it. And so for the first few years, it was just on the job training and learning and trying to set the culture of let's have a ton of fun and create a really fun, safe working environment where we all can do well together.
How do you find that balance of having a lot of fun, but staying professional and getting the job done?
I think it's, you know, if you open for service and you're not ready, you're going to have a bad service. I mean, so much of what we do in our world is prep and organization beforehand. And I think we have to set the team up and ourselves up to have everything prepared because things will change and go wrong and certain things could happen. And so it's almost kind of like the chef prepping, you know, everything for service. We have to do the same thing with every aspect of what we do. And I think when you are prepared and you communicate well and you do things with enthusiasm and conviction and you create a great product, it's hard not to have fun.
What did good communication look like when you're 2 or 3 years in?
I think that making sure that, schedules were done the right way, that if you're holding your management team accountable, you're sharing numbers in a meaningful way where they understand what priorities are. I think a lot of times it's easy to dance around the hard conversations, but I think that if you create a space where you can have some healthy tension.
What do you mean healthy tension?
I just think that sometimes you need to have the hard conversation.
Radical candor?
Radical candor. And you don't have to be a dick about it, but you need to go in and say like, hey, we set this goal, we're missing it. How can we work together to find a solution?
Yeah.
And I think that servant leadership is critical, but I also think that you can't just say like, oh, everything's fine, and that you have a huge hole in the boat that's filling with water.
Right.
And so for the first couple of years, I think that it was communication from management team to us saying like, here's what you're doing wrong, and us trying to react to it. But we always went into it with good intentions. I think it goes back to that love and fear. Like I care deeply about the people I work with, and I'm not saying that every decision I make is right, but if you go in with a humbleness and trying to understand and meet people where they are and come up with a solution together and truly let the best idea win. I mean, in my 18-year career, I've never dictated anything. It's just let the best idea win.
Yeah. I mean, you started this with talking about like mise en place, right? And getting everything in place, front of house and back of house. And then just that transparent, like direct candor, but also you use the words we need to fix this. Also, you're not correcting the person, you're correcting the process. You're saying this is our goal, this is where we're trying to go, this is the expectation we set, you did not hit it. Let's talk about it, like let's help you hit it next time. So it's you're not like coming down on somebody, you're just being very direct. It's not you, maybe we set you up wrong, let's just figure out like what can we do better next time.
And I don't believe in public shaming. I think that you have to have a good dynamic with the team, and if there's an issue, I think it's great to pull someone aside and have a conversation and then make sure that the team sees you're aligned. And instead of, and again, I love the healthy tension even my brother and I have and our leadership team has, but anytime we communicate with the staff and we're really trying to communicate a message, we all go in aligned, and so that it's something that we have the hard conversation beforehand, and then when we go into the team only sees one message.
Got it. Yeah, that alignment's you. Yeah, I have nothing to add to that. So along this line of like evolution, what were like the tipping points for you? Like what were the biggest struggles was just kind of drinking from a fire hose, right? Early on, having the managers kind of coach you, ownership, that's got to be a little awkward. Yeah. But when did things start to change for you? Like when was like, what was like your point of evolution, or like the first point of evolution for you, if you can reflect back, like an aha moment, like a point in like that you noticed in yourself, like you figured something out?
There's been a lot of those moments, but I think the one that has been...
Take us chronologically.
I'll tell you that this is just top of mind. This is the one that's the most fun for me, is that, and I never thought about it until you brought it up, that we were the demographic at 23 and 27, and maybe that's part of the process. I'm going to think a lot about this, so thank you for that. But we got to a point where we were surrounded by these unbelievably talented people who we truly fell in love with. And you take a guy like Josh Habiger, who is now a partner with us in everything we do. Josh was our opening general manager at the Patterson House, which is our cocktail bar. We created the Catbird seat, so Josh had a place to cook. He was our opening chef at Pinewood Social.
When did Catbird open?
15 years ago.
Okay.
And I remember the Patterson House because it was on tax day. I can't remember the Catbird seat, but we can check that date. But Josh came to us and said, hey, I got this idea for a restaurant that I want to do. And ultimately it was Bastion. And it was this moment and this turning point, and like such a cool thing for our company that we helped execute a vision for Josh. All credit for that restaurant goes to Josh. We're humbled and lucky to be a part of it. And it set us on this path where we said, man, we have these amazing people who are doing world-class things that are best in class and are good human beings. How can we help them execute their vision? And so we did the same thing with Julia at Henrietta Red. We did the same thing with Brian and Lane at Kisser. We did the same thing with Trevor at Locust. We have another location at Kisser opening up. And we got a couple other things with chef partners that I'm not allowed to talk about, but they have real equity and ownership in the restaurants, which I would highly recommend for every restaurateur at this point. If you can find the right people and give them real equity so they are owners in the business, everything is better.
This is a point of contention. And my job with this podcast is to go look and research and say, what are the patterns among the best? What are the best doing? And there seems to be this fear associated with, if I give up too much equity, if I give up too much, there's nothing left. But it's the opposite of the truth. It's a mindset of abundance that the more you give, the more you get. And when you can, and you cannot do it all yourself. The more you give, the more you can get done together. It's like the pie is always better when it's shared, and you can create a huge fucking pie when you have a lot of people staying in their lanes, going further and deeper. And what ends up happening is, like just what I said, like you can just make a bigger impact. So what is the contention? What is the resistance for people to give up equity? I mean, I think what you're saying, sharing equity, providing opportunity for people, is the future of the industry. As it gets more and more complicated and more competitive, and you need the best talent, they're going to go open their own restaurant, or you could do it with them. But why do people resist that truth?
I can't answer that. I can answer for us that I would much rather be supportive and very proudly be the least valuable person in the room, but provide any piece of support I can to the chefs teams and operations teams. And if you look at our portfolio of restaurants, we have been so fortunate and lucky to have restaurants that are busy and profitable, and I think are meaningful to this city that I care so deeply about. But they've also received these incredible awards and acknowledgments, and all of that credit and all of that success goes to the people that created the restaurants. It has very little to do with me. So the fact that I get to be a part of it, I'm just humbled. And I think Sheryl Sandberg had the quote, if somebody offers you a seat on a rocket ship, you don't ask which seat. And so for me, when these people who I love and trust have these great ideas, well, yeah, of course we want to partner with you, and how can we help you be successful? And they may not want to do a construction budget or worry about insurance or permits or zoning or these things that don't have anything to do with the guest. And if we can provide those resources and those tools and allow them just to focus on the hospitality side and the things they're passionate about, well, man, we got something there.
Yeah. I mean, I think the analogy I like to use is, like, we are designed to be tribal. Yep. And we are designed to go into the wilderness with a bunch of other people like us, not many, maybe 50 to 100. And we all have our unique ability that makes the tribe stronger. And when we stick together, we have a way better, higher survival rate. You have the person that knows what mushrooms to eat. You have the person that can take down, the giant, mastodon. You get the person that's great at cooking the mastodon. You get the person that knows all we are specialists, and we go further together. It's that simple. We literally evolved to be this way. And I think it's so powerful. So is it safe to say the biggest point of evolution for you was just realizing that if we just focus on helping enough other people achieve what they want, we can achieve anything?
I think that's probably the core of it. And then just making sure that, I do believe that you're some of the people you spend your time with, and just making sure that we are surrounding ourselves with the right people, which I think we have. But yeah, I think that in our company's progression and kind of what took us from good to great, it was aligning and partnering with these people to help them execute their vision. And we still have things that we're doing that we're excited about. But really, anytime we have the opportunity to partner with these folks and show this path of come and work with us and let's get to know each other and let's walk before we run, and then do something meaningful together, we're getting looks from people we never thought we'd get looks for in some of the restaurants. And it's just been, it's something that's a win-win for everyone. And I don't ever want to be the guy that's like, oh, I got a better deal than someone else. Like, let's all do well together. Yeah,
I love that. It's the mindset of abundance, man. So this is around 2010 that you kind of, this aha moment comes in, right? This is when Josh is the first equity, like this is the...
Yeah, it was probably 5 or 6 years into what we were doing. And we still were kind of...
2013?
I'd have to go back and check dates.
But my mind's so chronological. This is how I kind of stay in order.
Yeah.
But you said this was a big point of evolution for you.
It was, yeah.
I mean, what was the next big like you guys are scaling too, and typically there's associations with like different pain points with scaling. What was that like for you as you were getting bigger and bigger? What were the different challenges you were facing?
It really bummed me out when I didn't know every single staff member, and we would.
When did that happen? How many locations approximately?
That was probably when we had 5.
Okay.
We would sometimes have people that would get hired and leave or get fired before my brother and I would have the opportunity to meet them. And they were short stints, but like that sucks. Yeah. And so we started doing these town halls where we would do our staff training. We did a new hire video. we're very active in the restaurants, but it's just hard to touch every single one. So I think that was probably one of the hardest things, is not having that connection with every staff member we got to work with. But again, I think it goes to us working with the leadership teams and the leaders in the business to communicate what our core kind of feeling and message is, and make sure that we all share the same vision for what we're trying to execute. And it's been so fun watching those teams share the things that started the company's foundation 20 years ago.
Yeah. I like to say behind every great restaurant's a great person. And when people try to scale, they don't go through the exercises to communicate the values, the vision, what makes us, the standards. Like if you don't document that standard of excellence and communicate it regularly, like your impression on the people that are furthest away from you is going to get lighter. Mm-hmm. Like you can only influence so many people around you. So the more people that you put around you, it's like you're diluting yourself. So you have to like put more energy into the people between you and the people that are furthest away from you, so that they can ripple that energy and those values out.
100%.
When did you how did you get better at that? Like what were the challenges with, like, if you couldn't be the person to tell like the new hire who we are, like what were the things you started doing to make sure that message reached that person?
I think that really making sure that the managers working in the day-to-day and the ops people working with them and the culinary ops people were really touching the staff as much as possible, and us being as present as we can in the restaurants. It's something we strive for still today.
Are there like standard operating procedures you put in place, like that are like ritualistic, that you're making sure these things happen?
Yeah, I think it all goes down to that warmth with the staff and with the guests, and also the perception of value, both for the staff's time and for the guests coming in. And we have operations at the airport, we have operations in professional sports stadiums, and they have different trainings that they have to go through as a result. But I love having our training and the training that they have to have in those venues, and seeing the overlap and just like a little bit more of the care, where you should be able to get a restaurant quality experience in a stadium or at the airport. And that's been just a blast to see occur.
Yeah. So at this point in the conversation, I think we're about 5 years in from when you get here, approximately, right? 2013, 12.
Yeah.
Are all of your venues at this point, they're mostly bar, or no, you got some chef driven? Like what's your mix of concepts right now? Like where are you specializing, would you say?
At that point in time?
Yeah.
Oh man, you're testing me now. I'd have to have like a sheet showing what we had at that point.
Well, I like to get into like economics and like organizational structure, right? Yeah. And I know early on, like you were focusing on we're downstairs at Friends and Low Places. That's where Paradise Hall was.
Paradise Park, yeah.
Thank you. It was City Hall.
Yep.
I always confuse the two.
No worries, no.
Those are like entertainment venues, safe to say? And like bars?
Yeah, I mean, it's the building you're in right now, the first and second floor, it's a honky-tonkin' restaurant. But at the core, we sell a lot of beer and a lot of booze, and we have Trisha Yearwood's food, which is phenomenal. But at the core of it, it's a huge stage, huge LED screens, huge production. At nighttime, it is absolutely packed. It's a blast, but yeah, it's a honky-tonk.
How much did the venue transform from then to now?
When we had Paradise Park?
Yeah, was it the same like idea of like entertainment, or was it more of a...
It was always a fun space with a stage and huge bars and very boozy, but it was one of the first places on Lower Broadway where we hand patted our burgers, and we had fresh baked bread and really good produce, and we hand battered our chicken tenders and everything. But there's always been a core focus on quality. But at the end of the day, a beer and a shot is a good thing for us.
Right. How many seats?
It's I'd have to go and pull it, but there's so much standing room and there's so much dancing.
That was the next question. Like, how many total people can you fit in?
A few thousand.
So safe to say that you're making your money, your primary form of income. Were you charging covers?
We don't charge cover, no.
So you were making money on alcohol. That was probably your highest revenue.
Yeah, I mean,
driver.
Liquor, beer, wine,
yeah,
and then food, probably in that order. Private events are a huge thing for us in all of our venues, including this space. But if you look at kind of cost of goods, you should be winning the most on liquor, then beer, and then your food is hopefully between a 29 to 32% food cost.
When did you start figuring out like what standard prime costs are? Like when did that come into your world? Like, oh, like we should be making, our prime cost should be less than 60%. Like,
I had the gift of coming in with a brother who had already figured it out.
Okay.
And so he set those standards early. And, we're not the company that if we know there's a convention in town, we're going to raise beer prices $1. We try to be consistent, and we open spaces that are 100% local focused. And if we can nail it for the locals, the tourists will come. And so we just try to deliver a consistent, great product, but we never want to gouge the customer. We know that we have margins we need to hit to be a profitable restaurant, but I would never want to hit a 9% food cost.
Got it. What was your, you're on Broadway. I don't know if you folks we're literally sitting above where the original location was, which is kind of cool. We're right on Broadway. You can probably hear the background noise, the music playing, people screaming. What was the question I was just going to ask you? I always feel like I had offered the context and the question goes away. So, rent.
Yeah.
What percent rent? The point I'm trying to say is we're in it. We're in the heart of Broadway, Nashville. Rent can't be cheap here.
No. If you
it was probably cheaper then.
It was, when we started, I guess 18 years ago, there were empty buildings down here. Wow. And, thinking back to where it was now, or where it was to where it is now, it's, exponentially different. But literally, we were told when we first opened Paradise Park, you guys are going to fail because you're on the wrong side of the street, because nobody was going to cross the street. And now you look outside and you see thousands of people walking around. Yeah. They cross the street. We were just really lucky to be in a growth city that had all this momentum going. But right. 18 years ago to where we are today is so different. And again, a huge part of our success is the city that we get to play in.
You owned the building, or did you buy,
you
owned it?
We did.
When did you own it? Was it not it wasn't out of the gates, was it?
No, we came in with these incredible partners out of California who owned the building, who were partners with us. And then we ended up buying the building from them, and they were incredible to work with on that.
Okay. How long ago was that?
Again, I'd have to go back and check dates.
There's a lot of details, man. Yeah. I know you guys got a lot going on. I'm just trying to get an idea. What was your percent profit? I'm guessing 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was probably much more reasonable. Today, I don't even want to know what you could pull or what you could ask for in a spot like this.
I'd say for people in our industry, if you can do between 18 to 25%, you're doing great.
18 to 25% profit or
in net, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And for us, we find ourselves being way more hey, we want to be in market for a long time. And so, yeah, you definitely could skew percentages to take advantage, but we'd rather be the spot that's here for 30 years and known as a great local institution.
This is your home.
Yeah.
You grew up here. Anybody should be making those calls, it's you.
Yeah, if somebody has a hot dog at the baseball stadium, it sucks. They're texting us saying, hey, our hot dog sucks. So we take these things very personally.
I love that. I think really what I'm trying to get at right now is I don't get to talk to a lot of people who can fit 3,000 people in their venue, right? So what is the economics associated with that? How do you, what do you aim for? How do you balance it? You're going to have high rent, right? But the amount of volume you're going to be able to do should offset that. So are you doing a lower percent profit at that point to cover the massive extreme expenses associated with all the people? How many people do you have to hire to pull off a night with all the different specialists you have,
Yeah. So for that specific question, we're under NDA with Garth and Trisha, and we work for them on that. So I can't
that's this
that.
Location.
Yeah.
But do you have other locations like this?
No, this is
a special.
This is the largest honky tonk on Lower Broadway.
Got it. Well, I respect that. And what would you say the majority of your restaurants are?
In terms of profit?
In terms of model, full service, high touch. How would you classify the majority of your concepts?
Yeah, true restaurant concepts. We have bars that have great food for sure, but we definitely are restaurant focused. Our concessions business at the baseball stadium is a really fun area. We have a full kind of concession offering there with food, and we have incredible drinks. At the airport, we have a full service restaurant. We have a quick service kind of grab and go with great coffee. We obviously have our donut place. And then we have a lot of full service restaurants. We have a fun bar at Bastion that serves nachos. Then we have one of the best restaurants in the country behind a hidden door in the same venue.
Yeah. So would you say the majority of your restaurants are full service elevated dining?
I don't know if I'd use the word elevated, but I would just say we have great hospitality that serves what I think is some of the best food and drink in the world.
Is there a sweet spot in terms of size that you guys shoot for in terms of the amount of seats?
I wish we were that smart. No, it's we really just look at what's exciting to us or our partners, and figuring out, what spaces are available and how can we fit into them. We're really enjoy, and I think we're pretty talented at taking a space maybe others don't want and finding a way to make it fun.
Right. Are you figuring out my interview style yet, where I'm literally just like poking and prodding and just trying to figure it out? Like what? Like I'm just trying to get into your head, man.
I just wish I had an answer. Used to be like, oh yeah, we look for 2,800 square feet and 30 seats and this. We've never opened something twice.
Well, I'm also recognizing that you've identified too that your brother is more the operations guy, right? So I can respect that. Let's go back on this line of like points of evolution. So you talked about this idea, like about 5 years in, like you figured out if we just make enough opportunity for other people. What was the next like aha moment for you, where you just figured like you reached the next point of restaurant ownership, like evolution?
What up, unstoppable restaurant owners and operators? We have to interrupt today's video to let you know that Restaurant Unstoppable and Restaurant Systems Pro, we're taking our relationship to the next level. Beginning in July of 2024, Fred Langley, CEO of Restaurant Systems Pro, is making himself available once a week in Restaurant Unstoppable Network to answer all of your restaurant systems questions, whether it's be profit margins. He will look at your P&L. Bring your P&L. He will take a look at that. He will dissect it. He will help you find your profit, whether that be through budgeting, inventory management, costing recipe cards, labor, checklists, you name it. He is a master of restaurant systems, and he's making himself available to you. Fred Langley and Restaurant Systems Pro started as a consulting firm, and for over 16 years, they've been helping their clients increase their profit by 10% or more. What are you waiting for? Click the link below to join our Facebook group, Restaurant Unstoppable Network.
Yeah, I was at the Philly Chef Conference, and I heard a peer who's a friend, a guy named Kevin Boehm, who was speaking.
Past guest on the show. That guy's
big fan of Kevin,
yeah.
And he kind of talked about, the management deal side of things and owning dirt. And so we've really tried to do more development on the real estate side of things as well as management deals, because we've just seen in certain businesses where we've gone in and then rents will double or triple, through a traditional lease process. And so what I've really been focusing on for the past little bit is how we can get more onto the development side, and then also bring in some of our friends to participate in the real estate as well, so we can kind of control our future and try to take care of the people that really help build neighborhoods, which are these great restaurants and bars, instead of just a multifamily development. But how can you do both and protect your upside? And so that aha moment of management deals can be pretty great, as well as owning the dirt and trying to develop it, is something that's been a core focus since I heard Kevin speak.
So safe to say your focus was management deals, where you're finding talent and you were managing, right? And then eventually you realize, well, we can take some of this money our profit and invest in assets and to own appreciating assets. Mm-hmm. And I think that is a very smart play. I think that's what the smartest restaurateurs do. They're in the game of real estate, and they have these restaurant machines that are cranking out experience and food, but what they're really cranking out is talent. And you're in the game of talent development. And then you find the real estate and you vertically integrate you create opportunity for people to grow within your organization. Because if they don't grow with you, they're growing somewhere else.
Yeah, and it's fun being able to find really cool spaces and then create unbelievably fair deals and negotiate for the tenant and also be the landlord.
Yeah.
And to kind of know what metrics need to be hit
win-win.
And have clear communication, have a win-win, and always be mindful of like, hey, if this concept goes in and it adds value and creates higher, per rents around me, let that restaurant continue to win and take care of the ones that really help build you up.
Can you get into some of like the narrative and dialogue when you get this new piece of property and you're having this conversation with the tenant, and like what are the things that like you learned the hard way of like what to consider, what needs to be communicated? Like that's a conversation I haven't had. Like that's the kind of stuff I'm interested in learning more about.
I think it's also, with some of the bigger groups, it's a willingness to say, okay, if they need another walk-in, or if we need to figure out how we can empty a grease trap properly, or understand what actually goes into CAM, or how you're going to have an increase in rents because of new valuations on taxes.
What goes into CAM?
Common area maintenance.
Got it.
And so, there's some times where you'll sign something with CAM and things are promised and they just don't happen. And that sucks. And so with some of the development deals we're doing now, and there's one that I can't talk about today, but I could in 60 days that we're really excited about. We're going to improve things for everyone. And we have a really cool concept that we're excited to see that we can bring in. And that to me is super fun, where we're going to own part of the dirt. We're going to be able to go in and actually get a deal done for this tenant that we're really excited about, and then work with them to actually operate it.
Is that tenant somebody that came from within?
No, this is somebody who we've known for a long time and who we've really respected, and we're excited to bring them to market.
Got it. Okay. How many locations total are you at now today? Like 12, 10 in that ballpark?
Jordan, do you know that count?
That's a good problem to have, my friend.
I don't want to misquote. I'd be terribly embarrassed.
You got a lot of things going on, and you've delegated. Not only are you delegating roles, you're delegating complete management of locations, right? And I think when you put that much trust in your team, it's hard to keep track of everything.
Yeah.
But I guess that, what I'm trying to say, what is like in the terms of like scale and growth, like as you change and grow your business, your organizational structure grows, the way you have to do things grows. I think I can feel Jordan looking over here. Were you looking over here with an answer? 9. Currently at 9. What was at the biggest? How many, when you had the most units? Was it 10 or 11? That ballpark, Jordan? 12. So like, again, along this idea of like continued growth and evolution, when you reached your largest size in terms of locations and employees, like what were the newest challenges for you at that point?
Again, I think it was just really having a pulse of what's happening in the day-to-day and making sure that we never compromise the integrity of the product, and we continue to evolve. I mean, I think that the minute you think that you've kind of nailed it, you start to die a little bit. And so I think every restaurant, we wake up every day and think, how can we be a better restaurant today than we were yesterday?
What were the different ways you found by asking yourself that question? How have you continued to evolve? How are you better today than you were? I don't know. Pick a number.
I mean, right now I can say in real time, we're diving deep into AI and say like, is there a way to help with reservations and bookings if we implement some of these AI tools? I never thought 3 years ago I'd be thinking, hey, for a sales and PDR piece, like, does it make sense to have an AI be the first touch? So instead of a 2-hour response, you get one in 30 seconds, and that can then plug into your salesperson's calendar and book a meeting with detail and help scale up. Like, that could be a meaningful thing that helps drive revenue.
Yeah.
Which again, with that new revenue, allows for additional sales, additional resources, et cetera. And so I think constantly being curious and never thinking you have the answer, and always striving to just be in the learner's seat has been a huge driver for us.
Does the name Real Tacos out of Atlanta ring a bell?
No.
The name's Damien and Miguel out of Real Tacos. What they're doing, they've had great success. I think they're at like 11 or 12 locations in like 4 or 5 years, and they're seemingly hanging on to their culture, which is impressive. That's the hard part, right? And they are such innovators. They've just developed their own AI answering service.
That's cool.
From scratch on their own, because they find these like nerds, like these mega nerds and geeks like within their organization, and they say, you're doing this now, or like they found somebody who was doing marketing, and they're like, we're going to help you. They vertically integrated their own marketing company into their business, and then they help other people doing what they've learned.
Super cool.
That same person has developed an AI system. I think it's the same person. Miguel, feel free to correct me later if I'm getting any of this wrong. But it's amazing what you can do right now. And the cool thing is, not only can you do it for yourself, if you find a solution, you can share it with other people. And that's another channel of revenue for your business.
Yeah.
Like, why keep this to yourself? Like, you can do better by selling these solutions to other restaurants.
100%.
And I think that's the way we got to be thinking. And to your point, I think it's great for the industry, because I think that there's a book that my listeners know, I'm going to say it, Power and Progress. And it talks about the evolutionary, the evolution, the anthropological approach to like how technology has influenced us over like 1,000 years. And whoever controls the technology controls the agenda, controls the narrative, controls the money. And we're at this point right now that if we're not careful, if we're not democratizing and decentralizing this information around AI, and a few people control it, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
So like, as we're learning this stuff, we need to be really good about like try different types of AI out. Don't go with just one, because one company is going to get way too powerful, and make these companies compete against each other. what's going through your mind as I say this?
I was just thinking that I had, ChatGPT do my bracket for March Madness, and I'm absolutely shitting the bed right now. So maybe,
it still got some work to do.
Maybe I need to update it a little bit.
But isn't that the cool thing about like gambling is that when you're gambling on human predictability, like humans aren't predictable. That's why it's the funnest thing to gamble on. That's why there's underdogs, that like come out of nowhere.
What I do love about our industry though is that sure, robots could potentially replace certain things that we're doing, and AI can play a huge role, but most people can do everything we do at home. And I think one of the most fun things about our industry is the fact that they want that human connection and still seek it out. And if there was ever a time where we need to just turn our phones off and have a chat with, a friend or catch up, is now. And I love that our industry will have that continue. And I was talking with a friend of mine actually earlier today, and I stole a quote from him that, somebody said, what's the most important thing in a restaurant? And his answer was the person sitting across from you.
100%.
And I don't think we're ever going to lose that.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing I'm really excited about. I'm excited for this industry because at the end of the day, Moore's Law, technology is increasing exponentially. But the thing that's the governor, the thing that doesn't change and evolve exponentially is the human being. So, and at the end of the day, I think information is a form of technology. Like we're learning more and more about this world, this world we live in. Like the universe is literally quantum computing. We live in a quantum computer. That is technology, and we're learning more and more and more about how it works and how we work. And that's all fascinating too. Exponentially we're learning about ourselves and the world we exist in, and the more we learn, the more we're realizing what we need to be happy and to be healthy. And the more we need turns out to be more of sitting across the table and looking each other in the face.
I agree completely.
And that's why I travel across the country in my truck camper to get these interviews recorded.
I love that.
Because there's so much that comes beyond the conversation, the relationships that are formed, and the being in your space and feeling it, I can't capture it on the cameras, but like it influences me. It's awesome. But I think that the hope is that no matter how things around us seem to change, like we're at the end of the day learning more about what we need to be happy, and we all have it. It's all at our fingertips if we choose to pick it up.
Love that.
When I spoke to Ben in 2021, he said he never heard the term tech stack. Where is your tech stack today with this constant evolution?
Oh man, we're we're constantly looking at new tools. I think the biggest thing for us right now is the project management side of things and keeping everything organized. With our new projects, we also have seen a progression in how we can be more efficient with reservation systems and bookings.
So can you get into like the project management and what tools you're using with reservations and bookings?
We use Monday to kind of project management. I still love Basecamp, so I will use Basecamp. I use Todoist as well, just as kind of a shared project to-do piece.
To-do list?
Yeah, like a Todoist.
Okay.
So Todoist, Basecamp, and then Monday are kind of our key ones. We have some of the different things in financial, the financial side of it. But again, I would let Benjamin kind of speak to it because he's way more in tune with that.
Did you say, so you said we're using Monday. I still love Basecamp. Were you using Basecamp and you moved to Monday?
We were using Basecamp. We used to Monday, but I still use a personal Basecamp to kind of keep my things together. But Monday is what we use as the shared tool for the entire team.
So why did you move from Basecamp to Monday? What was the incentive there?
Our chief operating officer, who's unbelievably talented, was pretty passionate about it.
He was just here. I was wondering if he's still here to hear you say that.
No, Camille.
She?
She.
I think the director of operations, so I met.
Yeah, he's James. He's the man as well. But Camille, our chief operating officer, saw it, wanted to implement it, and it's been great. So we use that. I just still, I'm a sucker for Basecamp.
Okay.
And then.
Did you resist at all, or you're like, why?
Healthy tension.
How did she convince you that Monday was the right choice?
Because she's unbelievably talented and I trust her.
Got it. Well, that's the speed of trust, right?
Yeah.
Todoist. What are you using that for?
More of just like a shared short-term to-do piece. I use it with the team, and then I use it with my wife as well, just to kind of put things in. So instead of a text, hey, can you do this? It gets documented, and then it's just all lives in one place.
Got it. And reservations, what are you currently using?
We have OpenTable.
Got it.
And we've used most of them. We've used Resi, we've used Talk. They're all great. We just have found kind of the platform of OpenTable with where we are now has been great.
So, were you using different platforms at the same time?
We were.
Okay. Was that just to test things out to see if there was one that was better than the other?
Talk for us was great for some of our chef's tasting pieces where you're kind of pre-buying, certain things just because we really prepped to what they were doing. And then we loved Resi, but we've kind of put everything together in open table. So we also can share notes with the different restaurants with different reservations that come in. And it's been a great tracking tool for us.
With Talk, were you using the ability to have a sliding scale based on different days of the week? So like on a Friday, were you charging more than say a Wednesday?
We didn't, just because for us, we think you should have the same experience on a Wednesday as you do on a Friday.
Okay. The experience can be the same, but shouldn't you charge more for it if it's a limited supply and demand?
Perception of value, man.
I got you.
Yeah.
So in terms of Open Table and Resi, since you're using both,
We're not now. We just use Open Table.
You just use it. What was the thing that bought you, like that made you like go with Open Table all in? What was Resi missing that Open Table was providing? Keep in mind, this is all personal preference too, but I love hearing the perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a best answer for it. I think they're all great. I think it was the team's recommendation, and what we wanted to use was Open Table, and we looked at everything, and it made the most sense for us, and it's been a good move.
Yeah. Are you aware that Resi, American Express purchased Resi, purchased Talk?
Yeah.
So generally speaking.
And I think Chase bought Open Table, didn't they?
Did they?
Maybe I'm wrong on that.
So remember before when I was talking about, technology, and whoever controls the technology controls the. Do you get worried? I don't think people talk about this enough, that there are two major companies right now that control the entire marketplace for all reservations.
Mm-hmm.
Should we be alarmed? Why is this not a conversation? We talked about how pissed off we were when Open Table was charging and stuff like that. But like more importantly, they control all the influence in the marketplace and the data on our customers. Why isn't this, and like two companies, the entire industry?
Yeah.
Is that not something that we should be worried about?
I just stay in my lane and focus on what we're doing. I feel like you need a different interview for that one.
All right. Well, if you know anybody who has an opinion on this, please send them my way. But it scares the crap out of me. Honestly, it's a big part of why I'm changing my business model, because I want to be able to kick back at what's happening and to explore and to say, hey, everybody, we should probably look into this, because it's not what's best for the industry when there's this much power at the top. And they're not, like, they're industry adjacent. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't touch the food.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I also know that people rely on reservation systems instead of just sometimes showing up to come in and have that neighborhood experience. Pros and cons for sure. Should we be scared? Maybe.
Back to AI.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the hopeful things, is that it's going to help us figure out. And I think that as technology evolves, it decentralizes, right? So it won't be that hard to create something that competes with the efficiencies of what it's taken these organizations 15, 20 years to develop. Yeah. What they still have over us is the market space, like the marketplace. And the consumer habits associated with using the tools, which is probably the most scary thing when they're tracking all the data on that. Anyway, I digress. So in terms of, you said you talked to Ben about, finances, but can you say, like, because I know he was trying to choose between an enterprise solution, and I know I have an idea of what you guys, are you guys using Restaurant 365?
We're not.
Okay.
We've used Margin Edge, and we have an incredible accounting team that we work with, that we've outsourced accounting, which we used to have an internal, and that was a good move for us. Do
you know the name of the accounting firm? I think he mentioned it in the last interview, but
it's Vita Finance.
Okay, how do you spell that? Because he mentioned that before, and I was like, is it like Vita, like a Vita, like the Spanish kind of Vita?
VITA.
VITA. Okay.
And it's they're incredible. Just badass women-owned company, and just incredible folks. And one of the bartenders that used to work here actually is an accountant, CPA with them, and actually helps us with our businesses now. And
that's a Vita Finance?
Yeah.
And are they just here in Nashville, or do they work?
They are. Okay. I'm sure they have clients outside of Nashville, but they're based here.
Okay. Interesting. Anybody else in terms of like companies that technologies you work with that you've been just like really impressed by? What about events? What are you doing in the event space?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about other ones we were pretty impressed with. the Sunday app. I don't know if you've seen
Hell
that.
yeah. I literally just interviewed Victor Lugger.
Yeah.
It was 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, we have not figured out how to roll them out through all of our restaurants, but we have them here at Friends in Low Places, and we're working to put them at the airport. Just super impressed with what they've created.
I mean, I've been getting a lot of testimonials from them. They actually ironically reached out to me like a year and a half ago, and I was like, this seems interesting, but like I have this like hard rule that I'm really trying to draw a hard line in the sand going forward. Like, I will not promote a service that hasn't been referred to me organically by somebody who's having a ton of success with it. So they reached out to me, and I kind of played like, hey, I can't get you on the show because I haven't heard about you yet. Literally like a month and a half later, I went to Atlanta where they're based, and like all these great concepts are using it. Federico Castellucci's using it.
He's the one who introduced me to it.
Oh, really? Fares Cargar is using it, and the Real Taco guys are using it, and like I was kicking myself because I was able. But anyway, I was able to make the interview happen with Victor, and what he did with Big Mama.
That's
are you
crazy.
familiar?
Yeah,
dude, it was such a great conversation. I wish I had more time with him.
And Fred, by the way, is one of my favorite restaurateurs in the country.
He's like stone cold, like killer in the best way.
He's the
like
man.
Just so good at what he does, man.
Huge. I'm very lucky to know Fred, and we're in a YPO forum together, and he constantly has introduced me to great things. Young Presidents Organization.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So he is opening his Iberian Pig here in Nashville.
It's open.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's
About
cranking.
a year now.
Yeah, he's cranking.
He's a great guy.
I'm a regular in that restaurant. One of my favorite places to go.
I haven't checked it out yet, and I moved too fast, man. I gotta slow down.
He did such a good build on that, and built like the coolest upstairs private event space with a little bar overlooking the city. You got to go by and check it out.
Do you know his full story?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
I interviewed him. I think it's episode 850 if you guys want to go check it out. 14 years old.
Yeah.
Like working side by side with his dad, like almost like basically took the family business and just like brought it back to life. And what he's built, he was losing $30,000 a month at one point on just like what he owed the banks on I think the fees on like his balance, like being like in the negative. I'm only sharing this because he shared it.
Oh yeah, he's incredible.
And what they've done, it's a really truly inspiring story.
Yeah, and talk about family business. I mean, from his dad to him to his brother and sister.
Right, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
great organization, Castellucci Hospitality Group. Back to Sunday app. You said that you were trying to roll it out. What is unique about your venues where you're still trying to figure out? Like what is there to figure out?
I think it's just walk before you run, and we're trying it in a couple, and I do think we'll eventually put it everywhere. But for now, it's not going to work in our chef's tasting restaurants just because that's not the experience, and they're not tabbing out on their own. We want to be able to have that presentation of the menu and have that human kind of connection at the last piece of it. But at the airport, for example, when we really have 45 minutes to get someone in and out at a full service restaurant, being able to pay when you're ready to go and be prompted for a quick review is phenomenal.
Yeah. I'm tempted to go deeper here. I mean, Sunday app is, I'm really interested to learn more about these. I just had Victor on the show. I'm working with them to try to get them to do a product demo, a live product demo. So if you're listening to this, we are going to try to get them to do some kind of live event in Restaurant Unstoppable Network. And this is the future of Restaurant Unstoppable. Going to people, listening, following up, and doing live events to help good people connect with good people with great solutions. So I'm super stoked to be hopefully continuing to collaborate with them. We have 15 minutes left together, and I've been putting this one off. Like you mentioned EOS.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been playing around with EOS?
About a year.
Okay. How did you discover EOS?
So Fred introduced me to this forum in YPO, and it's all hospitality people.
More YPO, huh?
Yeah, and so there's 8 of us, and we all have restaurants and bars and hotels and different venues, and we all love and support each other. And so it's been a really great forum for me. And most of those guys have implemented EOS and kind of did an experience share of success and challenges. And so we tried it, and it's been phenomenal for us.
So how would you describe what EOS is?
So really it's a way to find the most effective use of your time, in my opinion, and make sure that people are in their right roles and that they have the ability to lead, manage, and be held accountable. And for us, we're fortunate to have so many different things going on that we use our level 10 meetings, which is our once a week kind of EOS circle up to review our quarterly rocks and our to-do list. And what I love about it is that it highlights all the successes that we can celebrate with people, and then also puts a big spotlight on folks that are missing their goals. And so we can really work with folks to lift them up if they're struggling, or really lean in and celebrate their successes. And I think it makes sure that everyone's in their right role, and it forces communication, and it creates some uncomfortable conversations. But again, that healthy tension, that radical candor, and an alignment within your core leadership team. So there's no eye rolling at staff lineup, or just not the shared vision. It creates just an alignment with the team that gets put out to the rest of your organization.
Yeah. I like to describe it as a system and process for growth.
Yeah.
Because it forces you to say, where do we want to be in 5 years? Mm-hmm. What do we have to do what do we have to do in a year to be on track for that 5-year goal?
Yeah.
What do we have to do this quarter to be on track? What do we have to do this month to be on track? What do we have to do this week to be on track? And to your point, it puts everybody in their lane, and it helps you identify what's everyone's goal, your rock, the thing you can accomplish this quarter to get to that 1 year point. We're all focused on the thing we have to do. We're all going here. Mm-hmm. What do we all have to bring to the table to get there? And then weekly, did you do it? Yes or no? Why? No? Drop it down. Identify, solve, discuss, right?
Yeah.
And then the whole team comes together to help that one person that hit a roadblock, and you just tackle obstacles. It is a system and a process for growth. It's a system and process for communicating too, which I think where people really go wrong.
Yeah. I mean, the IDS piece is my favorite, where we go through, and even if we just solve one problem, like we used to not find time and space to have that. And it's been really powerful for us. Yeah.
And you said it helps speed things up. And I think just teaching you how to have an effective meeting in itself is huge. Where like you don't say anything until we get to IDS. You go through. So I don't know if you guys are, my follow-up question is, do you follow us exactly, or have you tweaked the level 10 meeting to be better suited for restaurants?
No, we've really tried to stick to the path of on track, off track. And then we will put all of the things on the issue list that we need to discuss. We vote on what we want to go through, and then we IDS it.
Got it.
And so it's been awesome for us. And I also love that, it does set you up for growth, but it also is it's just so powerful to kind of see where things were and how we can improve upon them for the future, and how you can support others, and the effectiveness for us in those meetings. And there's always follow up afterwards, but I love the data. I love seeing kind of like what's happening. And when you're able to stay on track, it's a good feeling.
Yeah. My core values, I try to echo these things as much as possible. And when they come up in conversation, I really like to surface them. So we have integrity. We are students. We are educators. We are collaborators, which is something that you believe in. And we are communicators. Mm-hmm. And I think that EOS is, you can live that core value if you follow those processes. It forces you to communicate and to get candid. It's super powerful. So I want to, we are bringing together, we've launched Restaurant Unstoppable Network, and my plan is to create a monthly EOS power hour, where anybody who's interested in using EOS, who wants to go through the traction book together, to go through the EOS books together. I've read them multiple times. We're going to bring together a community of people who are doing this, that can coach you and mentor you. And it's all part of Restaurant Unstoppable Network. So if you're interested in EOS, this is one of those things that I've identified that if I'm opening a restaurant tomorrow, I'm doing this. So if you're interested, I would love to have you be a part of the conversation. If you're listening, just head over to restaurantunstoppable.com/live to join, or just reach out to me directly, Eric@restaurantunstoppable.com. We're at the end of the conversation, man. Is there anything that we haven't talked about? Anything that you wish came out of today's conversation that didn't?
No, I mean, I think that, we could sit here for hours and hours and talk about all the highs and lows. And, it's something that I'm deeply passionate about. I mean, this is so much of my world. So nothing specific. Really good hanging with you, man. Appreciate the time. Man. And, I'm sure that at 2 a.m, I'll text you something of I wish we had talked about this, and maybe we'll get back together. But this has been great, man. I appreciate it. My goal is
to go deeper with the Fred Castellucci's of the world, and the Goldberg brothers of the world. What you guys are doing is special, and it's not about feeding more relationships into the funnel. It's about going back to the best. So anytime you or your brother want to come back on the show, I drive through this part of the country often, man. You're always welcome.
Thanks, man.
And a couple questions before we officially wrap it up.
I mean, I would share one piece.
Go for it.
Maybe we'll edit this out, but it's fun to sit in this building, and you see a busy bar and you see things that are happening, but COVID was really hard for us, and it almost bankrupted our company. And we had just bought this building, and the bank that we were working with, we did everything they asked, and they moved us to this thing called special assets, which is like, man, this is cool. Is there like a VIP rope at the bank? And that's not a good thing when that happens. And we met with them, and it went from a pretty friendly conversation to like they were trying to figure out how to get us out off of the hook with them, because you know,
special assets, like the class I had to sit in when I was in middle school and high school. Special assets.
That's right. That's exactly right. But we went through that process. We did everything they asked, and then overnight in a portfolio sale, they sold our loan, and we had 2 weeks to come up with tens of millions of dollars, or else we were going to be bankrupt and completely out of our control. And we got very lucky that the company they sold to was great to work with, and we did everything they asked for a year, and then we were able to sell the building for double what we paid for it, which is public information. But it was one of the hardest experiences. And you know, I'd been with this bank since I was 12, and I spoke at their real estate conference the year before saying how it was such a family component, and they sold us for 70 cents on the dollar. And so they took this big haircut, and we would have refinanced, we would have done these things, and it was awful. And we came out stronger. But kind of just my advice for listeners is just the resilience piece. And even when your back's completely against the wall, look who's there with you and who's in the trenches. And there's such scar tissue and battle hardening that can take place if you continue to push and do the right thing and show up. And it was a great result for us. But it's also one of the things that pushed me into real estate, is that I really wanted to make sure I was always in control of those things. And was just shocked that, they would do that. And, we came out stronger, and it was a great outcome for us. But man, it was a tough time in life.
I bet. Well, thank you for getting into that. And here are the final questions before we officially wrap it up. And what is one thing about your business, a value, a process, a system that's uncommon and makes you truly unstoppable?
Oh, I feel like, there's a bunch, but one thing that is just top of mind because we just did it is we have this thing called the rock wall. And it's something that lives back a house, and any employee that sees another employee do something great, they write it on a rock and they put it on the wall to kind of celebrate what that was. And then at the end of the month, we put it into a jar and we draw it out, and there's a prize. That's we read what it was and we celebrate it. And it just helps create that team dynamic, and they all champion each other and support each other. And it's something kind of silly and fun, and it's evolved into something that people really care about. At the end of the year, we do a big one, which is like a cruise and a vacation and everything. But yeah, that's something kind of fun that we just did.
I think it's the power of taking time to see people, see each other. I think we forget how important that is as human beings. Back to like, we're learning so much about ourselves. Above like physiological needs and security, it's being seen. Yeah. It's that important to our mental health. The mission statement is to change the world through inspiring, empowering, and transforming the industry. Like you've done for us today, man. You've inspired us with your story, your values, your knowledge. But how have you personally transformed? If we're going to transform the industry, we're going to do it one individual at a time. Give me the example of how you think you've most transformed.
How I've most transformed over the past 18 years?
Yeah. How are you a better man today than the man you were when you got started?
That's a great question. A lot of different ways I think I could approach it, but I think that I've been given such a gift to be in the community I'm in, surrounded by the people that I'm in. And I think I'm a better version of myself today because I've been able to see others succeed and be part of their story and their journey, and hopefully create generational wealth for those individuals, and really see change with that and be part of the ride. And the fact that I get to do it is so humbling and wonderful. But I think just being surrounded by these folks and doing everything I can to support them has definitely made me a better person.
I love it. And this is the question that gets the most eye rolls. It's not an easy one, but I feel like you'll do well. If you got the news, you'd be leaving this world tomorrow, and all the memories of you, your work, and your restaurants would be lost with your departure, with the exception of 3 pieces of wisdom that you could leave behind for the good of humanity and your legacy. What would those 3 pieces of wisdom be?
Be kind would be the first one. I think do the right thing when nobody's there to see it.
2
would be 2. And love deeply.
3. I've loved deeply this conversation, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your story, to open up, to pay it forward. I literally cannot do what I do without people like you. So thank you. And who do you think I should talk to? This is my North Star. This is the last question I end on. This is a journalistic podcast. I don't decide who I make an example of. The industry decides. Success recognizes success. So who do you think I need to make an example of? Who's doing it right?
There's a lot of people that I could say that. If you're here in Nashville, there's a guy named Pat Martin who has Martin's Barbecue, Hugh Babies, and Sweet Milk. And in terms of somebody who is one of my best friends,
I've had him on the show.
You have? Okay,
yeah,
I just haven't
amazing.
seen that. Okay,
but I should get him back on the show. He's on that list.
He'd be up there. I don't know if you've interviewed Khalil Arnold yet.
No.
Khalil is another one of those special human beings.
How do you spell that?
Khalil Arnold, Khalil. And if you want to see someone who operates a dining room better than almost anyone I've ever seen in terms of just like a master class in how to make people feel great, watching him work his floor is like pure magic. It's art.
I'm going to be leaving Nashville today. What about the greater country, people across the country that you really look up to?
I've been fortunate to kind of get to know them on a personal level, but Will Guidera and Christina Tosi, incredible husband and wife couple, are two of the more inspiring people I've ever met in hospitality.
I'd love to get them on. Will, I loved his book, Unreasonable Hospitality. It was great. He's doing some great stuff. Christina, obviously, you're both always welcome. I'd love to make that happen. And
Jenny Brittenbauer as well from Jenny's
past guest on the show as well.
Okay, I need to go look at this roster, but Jenny's unbelievable. I mean, there's just so many people that inspire me.
She's somebody else. She's based out of Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
Next time I'm rolling through, Jenny, look out. I'd love to connect with you. You've done good. You've given me some great names. I won't push anymore. Unless there's somebody that you feel like you just have to say. I don't want you to feel like you're missing.
In our forum that Fred and I are in, I'll send you the roster of folks, but Elliot Nelson from Tulsa.
Talking to him tomorrow.
Okay, so Elliot's another one of those special human beings.
I love it,
you're gonna have so much fun with Elliot.
I can't wait to reconnect with him. I'll tell him you said hi. And how can we connect with you, or how can we, if we want to come join your team, or we want to learn more about strategic hospitality, what's the best way to connect?
StrategicHospitalityOnline.com is our website. We've got kind of all the info there for applications and things like that. Emails max@shprojects.co. I always welcome anything that people have ideas on. Open book on that. And then my Instagram is just maxrgoldberg.
This is episode 1181. That was my alarm letting me know that I have a meeting digitally starting right now. It's a busy day for me. So Max, I literally can't do what I do without people like you. And this is where I say there is no questioning, my man. You are unstoppable.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Cheers.